You've been told that changing your life requires massive action, that shifting your reality means grinding harder, pushing further, doing more. But what if I told you that the most powerful shift you can make happens at a level most people never even touch? What if the key to stepping into a completely different timeline isn't about doing more, but about vibrating differently? Right now, in this very moment, you exist at a specific frequency, and that frequency is broadcasting a signal into the quantum field, a signal so precise, so clear, that it's literally selecting which timeline you experience. Most people don't realize they're doing this. They think they're stuck in one fixed reality, trapped by circumstances, limited by their past. But the truth is far more liberating and far more radical than that. You are not stuck in one timeline. You are collapsing one timeline out of infinite possibilities based on the frequency you're holding. And here's the part that changes everything. You can shift that frequency. You can raise your vibration. And when you do, you don't just change your mood or your mindset. You literally shift timelines. You step into a parallel version of reality where different opportunities exist, different connections form, different outcomes unfold. This isn't wishful thinking. This isn't New Age fantasy. This is quantum mechanics meeting consciousness. And it's happening whether you're aware of it or not. The only question is, are you going to keep collapsing the same timeline by default? Or are you ready to understand how frequency works so you can consciously shift into the reality you actually desire? Let's start with something fundamental that most manifestation teachers skip over. Frequency is not just about feeling good. It's not about forcing yourself to be positive while your nervous system is screaming in fear. Frequency is the electromagnetic signature your entire being radiates into the field. It's composed of your thoughts, yes, but also your emotions, your beliefs, your cellular memory, your nervous system state, even the coherence between your heart and your brain. Think of yourself as a living transmitter. Every moment you're broadcasting, and the quantum field, this vast intelligent ocean of possibility, is receiving your signal and reflecting it back to you as your lived experience. When people talk about like attracts like, or you get what you vibrate, this is what they're pointing to. But here's where it gets deeper. The frequency you hold doesn't just attract similar experiences. It actually determines which timeline you collapse into. Let me explain this through the lens of quantum physics. At the quantum level, all possibilities exist simultaneously. The timeline where you're financially abundant and the timeline where you're struggling both exist as probability waves. The timeline where you meet your ideal partner and the timeline where you stay lonely both exist. The timeline where you're healthy and vital and the timeline where you're sick and tired, they're all there, waiting. But here's the critical piece. These timelines don't collapse into your experience randomly. They collapse based on the observer. And the observer is you, specifically, the frequency of consciousness you're holding. This is the observer effect taken to its fullest implication. Your observation isn't passive. Your consciousness, operating at a specific vibrational frequency, acts as a selector. It reaches into the field of infinite possibility and pulls one specific timeline into manifestation. Most people are doing this unconsciously, which means they keep selecting the same timeline over and over, the one that matches their habitual frequency. They wake up in the same emotional state, think the same thoughts, replay the same stories, and wonder why nothing changes. But nothing changes because they're broadcasting the same signal. Same frequency, same timeline. So what exactly is frequency, and how do we measure it? In physics, frequency is the rate at which something vibrates. Higher frequencies vibrate faster, lower frequencies vibrate slower. In consciousness, we can think of frequency as the quality of your energetic state. Fear, shame, guilt, these are low, slow, dense frequencies. They feel heavy. They contract. They close down possibility. On the other hand, love, joy, peace, gratitude, these are high, fast, expansive frequencies. They feel light. They open. They create space for new timelines to emerge. But here's what most people miss. You can't fake frequency. You can't just paste a smile on your face and pretend everything is fine while your body is drowning in cortisol. The field doesn't read your words or your social media posts. It reads your energetic signature, the totality of what you're broadcasting. And that broadcast is happening at multiple levels simultaneously. Your conscious mind might be saying affirmations, but if your subconscious is running programs of unworthiness, if your nervous system is locked in survival mode, if your heart is closed and defended, that's the signal the field receives. That's the timeline you collapse. This is why so many people fail at manifestation. They're working only at the surface level, the level of thoughts and words, while ignoring the deeper frequencies running beneath. They're trying to override a low-frequency broadcast with positive thinking, and it doesn't work because coherence is missing. The quantum field responds to coherence. It responds to alignment. It responds to the unified signal when every level of your being is humming at the same frequency. So how do you raise your frequency? How do you shift from the timeline of struggle to the timeline of ease, from lack to abundance, from loneliness to love? This is where we move from theory into practice. And I want you to understand something crucial before we continue. Raising your frequency is not about spiritual bypassing. It's not about denying your pain or pretending everything is perfect. It's about learning to regulate your nervous system, clear your subconscious blocks, and train your entire being to hold a higher, more coherent state. Let's break this down into layers, because frequency shifting is a full system recalibration. First, there's the mental layer. This is where most people start and where most people get stuck. Your thoughts do matter. The stories you tell yourself, the beliefs you hold, the meaning you assign to events, all of this shapes your frequency. But thoughts alone are not enough. If you're thinking abundant thoughts while feeling anxious, you're sending a mixed signal. The field picks up the anxiety, not the thoughts. So we move to the emotional layer. Emotions are energy in motion. They're faster than thoughts and they carry more power. This is why you can repeat affirmations all day, but one moment of deep felt gratitude will shift your frequency more than 1,000 words. Emotions are the language the quantum field speaks most fluently. When you feel something deeply, when you embody an emotional state fully, you're broadcasting a clear, strong signal. And the field responds. But even emotions can be surface level if they're not connected to the body. And this is where most manifestation teachings fall apart. They tell you to feel good, to think positive, but they don't address the fact that your body might be holding decades of trauma, stress, and survival programming. Your nervous system might be stuck in fight or flight. Your cells might be coded with the frequency of your ancestors' struggles. And until you address this somatic layer, until you bring your body into coherence, your frequency will keep defaulting back to its old set point. This is why practices like breath work, somatic release, nervous system regulation, and heart coherence training are so powerful. They don't just make you feel better in the moment. They actually rewire the hardware that's broadcasting your frequency. When you calm your nervous system, when you release stored trauma, when you bring your heart and brain into sync, you create a new baseline frequency. And from that new baseline, different timelines become accessible. Now let's talk about timelines more specifically, because this is where things get truly fascinating. Imagine reality as a vast tree with infinite branches. Each branch represents a different timeline, a different version of your life unfolding. In one branch, you took that job. In another, you didn't. In one, you met that person. In another, you walked right past them. Every choice point creates a branching, and you're constantly navigating through this tree of possibilities. But here's what quantum physics tells us. All of these branches exist simultaneously. They're not linear. They're not happening one after the other. They're all happening now, in this eternal present moment. And the branch you experience, the timeline you're living, is determined by your frequency. When you shift your frequency, you don't change the timeline you're on. You jump to a different branch entirely. You shift into a parallel reality where different events have unfolded, different opportunities exist, different versions of people show up. This might sound like science fiction, But it's actually how reality works at the quantum level. And people experience this all the time without realizing it. Have you ever had a moment where suddenly everything felt different? Where opportunities started appearing out of nowhere? Where the right people showed up at the right time? Where life just started flowing? That's a timeline shift. You raised your frequency and you jumped to a different branch of the tree. The reason most people don't experience consistent timeline shifting is because their frequency is unstable. They might have a high-frequency moment, a breakthrough, a peak experience, but then they crash back down to their habitual state. They get excited about a possibility, but then fear kicks in. They feel abundant for a moment, but then they check their bank account and collapse back into scarcity. This frequency instability keeps them bouncing between timelines, never fully anchoring in the one they desire. So the real work of quantum frequency mastery is learning to hold a stable, high-frequency state. Not just for a moment, not just during meditation, but as your new baseline. This is what it means to embody a new frequency. It's not about peak experiences. It's about raising your entire set point so that the high frequency becomes your default, not the exception. Let me give you a practical example. Let's say you want to shift into a timeline where you're financially abundant. Right now, you might be in a timeline where money is tight, opportunities are scarce, and you're constantly worried about bills. That timeline exists at a specific frequency, the frequency of lack, scarcity, and survival. To shift into the abundant timeline, you need to raise your frequency to match abundance. But here's the trap. Most people try to do this by getting money first, thinking that once they have money, they'll feel abundant. But that's backwards. That's trying to change the external before changing the internal. In the quantum model, you have to become the frequency first. You have to embody abundance before it shows up. You have to feel wealthy in your bones, treat yourself with generosity, make decisions from overflow rather than lack, and hold that frequency consistently. And when you do, the field responds. The abundant timeline collapses into your experience, not because you forced it, but because you matched it. The same principle applies to any timeline you want to shift into. Want to experience love? Become the frequency of love. Want to experience health? Become the frequency of vitality. Want to experience success? Become the frequency of achievement. This isn't about faking it until you make it. It's about genuine frequency alignment. It's about training your entire system, mind, emotions, body, energy, to hold the state that already exists in the timeline you're moving toward. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds great in theory, but how do I actually do this? How do I raise my frequency when I'm dealing with real problems, real stress, real limitations? And this is the perfect question because it gets us into the practical application. Frequency shifting isn't about denying your current reality. It's about not letting your current reality dictate your frequency. There's a difference. Let's start with the foundation, your nervous system. Your nervous system is the operating system through which everything else runs. If your nervous system is in chronic stress, stuck in sympathetic activation, your frequency will be low no matter what you try to do mentally. So the first step is nervous system regulation. This means practices that activate your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest mode. Deep breathing, especially extended exhales. Gentle movement like walking or stretching. Time in nature. Somatic practices that release stored tension. These aren't just relaxation techniques. They're frequency shifters. They move your body out of survival mode and into a state where higher frequencies can come online. Next, there's emotional clearing. You can't hold a high frequency if you're carrying unprocessed emotions. Grief, anger, shame, resentment, these dense emotions create energetic blocks that lower your vibration. So part of raising your frequency is creating space to feel and release these emotions. Not to wallow in them, but to move them through your system so they don't stay stuck. Journaling, therapy, breathwork, somatic experiencing, whatever modality works for you, the key is to clear the backlog so your natural high frequency can emerge. Then there's the practice of coherence, Coherence is when your heart and brain are synchronized, when your thoughts and feelings align, when your entire system is working in harmony. The HeartMath Institute has done extensive research on this, and they've shown that heart coherence not only feels good, it actually creates a powerful electromagnetic field that radiates out from your body. This field is your frequency broadcast. And when it's coherent, when it's stable and harmonious, it has the power to shift timelines. You can practice coherence through simple techniques. Place your hand on your heart. Breathe slowly and deeply. As you breathe, recall a moment of genuine appreciation or love. Let that feeling build in your heart. Feel it radiate through your chest, your body, your field. Do this for just 5 minutes and you'll shift your frequency. Do it daily and you'll change your baseline. Do it consistently and you'll shift timelines. Another powerful practice is future pacing from a raised frequency. This is different from visualization. Visualization often stays in the mind. Future pacing is embodied. You're not just seeing the future you want. You're feeling it in your body. You're stepping into the frequency of that timeline now. You're asking yourself, how does the version of me living in that timeline feel? How do they move? How do they breathe? How do they make decisions? And then you embody that. You become it. Not as a performance, but as a genuine frequency match. Here's a specific exercise you can do right now. Close your eyes for a moment. Think about the timeline you want to shift into. Maybe it's a timeline of abundance, or love, or health, or creative fulfillment. Whatever it is, don't just picture it. Feel it. Feel what it's like to wake up in that timeline. Feel the ease, the joy, the freedom, the gratitude. Let those feelings build in your body. Let them create a frequency. And then, here's the key. Bring that frequency back with you into this moment. Don't leave it in some imagined future. Embody it now. Walk around your space with that frequency. Make your next choice from that frequency. Speak your next words from that frequency. This is how you practice frequency shifting. You're training your system to hold the vibration of the timeline you're moving toward. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. The more natural it becomes, the more stable your frequency. The more stable your frequency, the more fully you anchor in that new timeline. But let's address the elephant in the room. What about when life throws you curveballs? What about when something happens that knocks you out of your high frequency? What about when doubt creeps in, when fear takes over, when the old timeline seems to pull you back? This is where most people give up. They think frequency shifting is about being perfect, about never having a low moment. But that's not realistic, and it's not how this works. Frequency mastery isn't about never wobbling. It's about how quickly you return to alignment. It's about recognizing when you've dropped into a lower frequency and having the tools to shift back up. This is resilience. This is emotional agility. This is the real skill. You're going to have moments of doubt. You're going to have days when fear is loud. You're going to encounter triggers that activate old patterns. This is normal. This is human. The difference is, you don't stay there. You notice, you breathe, you regulate, you recalibrate, and you return to your chosen frequency. Think of it like a thermostat. A thermostat doesn't prevent the temperature from fluctuating. It detects fluctuations and adjusts back to the set point. You're doing the same thing with your frequency. You set your vibrational set point, the frequency of the timeline you're moving toward, and then you monitor yourself throughout the day. When you notice you've dropped, you don't judge yourself. You just adjust. Breath, movement, gratitude, coherence practice, whatever tool works in that moment, and you bring yourself back. Over time, this becomes automatic. Your system learns to self-regulate at a higher frequency. And when that happens, timeline shifting becomes effortless. You're no longer forcing it. You're no longer trying. You're simply being the frequency, and the timelines collapse accordingly. Now, let's talk about something crucial that almost no one discusses: the role of identity in frequency. Your identity, who you believe you are, is one of the most powerful frequency determinants. If you identify as someone who struggles, someone who's unlucky, someone who never gets what they want, that identity carries a specific frequency, and that frequency will keep collapsing timelines that confirm that identity. This is why affirmations often fail. You can say, "I am abundant" all day, but if your core identity is, "I am someone who struggles with money," the identity will win. The field listens to identity more than words. So part of raising your frequency is shifting your identity. This doesn't mean creating a fake persona. It means excavating your true identity beneath the conditioning, the trauma, the stories you've been told. Who are you really? Beyond the labels, beyond the past, beyond the fear. When you connect with that essential self, that's when your frequency naturally rises, because your true self exists at a high frequency. It's only the accumulated layers of conditioning that lower it. One powerful practice is to ask yourself regularly, who am I becoming? Not who you've been, not who others say you are, but who you're becoming. And then align with that. Make choices as that person, speak as that person, move through the world as that person. This isn't fake it till you make it. This is grow into it until you are it. And as your identity shifts, your frequency shifts. And as your frequency shifts, your timeline shifts. Let's also address the collective frequency, because you don't exist in a vacuum. You're part of a larger field, and that field has a frequency too. The people you spend time with, the media you consume, the environments you inhabit, they all carry frequencies. And those frequencies affect yours. This is entrainment. When two frequencies come into contact, they tend to synchronize. If you're around low-frequency people constantly, their frequency will pull yours down. If you're immersed in high-frequency environments, their frequency will lift yours up. This is why curating your environment is so important for timeline shifting. You need to protect your frequency. This doesn't mean becoming isolated or judgmental. It means being conscious about what and who you allow into your field. It means seeking out people, places, and content that support your desired frequency. It means limiting exposure to frequencies that pull you down. It means creating a life that reinforces the timeline you're moving toward, not the one you're leaving behind. And here's something beautiful. As you raise your frequency, you naturally start to resonate with different people and opportunities. It's not that you're forcing anything, it's that you're literally vibrating at a different rate, and the field matches you with what's coherent with that rate. You might find old relationships naturally falling away. You might find new connections appearing seemingly out of nowhere. You might find doors opening that were previously closed. This is timeline shifting in action. You're not in the same reality anymore. You're in a parallel version where different possibilities exist. Now, I want to address a common misconception. Some people think raising your frequency means you'll never have challenges, that life will become easy and perfect. But that's not how it works. Higher frequency timelines still have challenges. The difference is, the challenges serve your growth rather than reinforce your limitations. In a low frequency timeline, challenges feel like punishment, like evidence that you're not worthy, like confirmation that life is hard. In a high-frequency timeline, challenges feel like initiations, like opportunities to evolve, like invitations to step into more of who you are. The frequency you hold determines not whether you face challenges, but how you meet them and what they create in you. High-frequency beings don't avoid difficulty, they transform it, they alchemize it, they use it as fuel for expansion, and this is part of the mastery. Learning to hold your frequency even when, especially when, life tests you. So let me bring this all together. Quantum frequency is the vibrational signature you're broadcasting into the field. This signature determines which timeline you collapse into your experience. To shift timelines, you must raise your frequency. And raising your frequency is a full system practice involving nervous system regulation, emotional clearing, coherence training, identity shifting, and environmental curation. It's not a one-time event. It's a way of being. It's a commitment to holding yourself at the frequency of the life you desire until that frequency becomes your new baseline. And here's the profound truth. You don't need permission to shift timelines. You don't need to wait for conditions to change. You don't need to earn it or prove yourself worthy. You simply need to raise your frequency. The timelines are already there, all of them, waiting in the quantum field. Your job is to become the frequency match to the one you want to experience. And when you do, when you hold that frequency with stability and coherence, the shift happens. Sometimes gradually, sometimes suddenly, but always in response to your signal. This is the power you hold. This is the quantum truth that changes everything. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are not trapped in one fixed reality. You are a conscious being with the ability to shift your frequency and thereby shift your timeline. The question is not whether you can do this. The question is, will you? Will you commit to the practice of frequency mastery? Will you take responsibility for your vibrational state? Will you do the work of regulating your nervous system, clearing your emotions, training coherence, and holding your chosen frequency even when nothing seems to change? Because that's where the magic happens. In the commitment, in the consistency, in the unwavering decision to be the frequency of your desired timeline, regardless of what your current reality looks like. I want to leave you with a practice. For the next 7 days, I invite you to become a frequency scientist. Start each morning by setting your frequency intention. Ask yourself, what frequency am I choosing today? Maybe it's peace. Maybe it's abundance. Maybe it's love. Whatever it is, name it. Feel it. Embody it. Then throughout the day, check in. Notice when you've dropped out of that frequency. Don't judge it. Just notice. And then use your tools, breath, movement, gratitude, coherence, to return. At the end of each day, reflect. How well did you hold your frequency? What knocked you off? What helped you return? This is how you build the muscle. This is how you master the art of timeline shifting. And if this resonates with you, if something inside you is lighting up, if you feel the truth of this in your bones, I invite you to join this community. Hit that subscribe button, because this is more than just content. This is a gathering space for conscious creators, for frequency masters, for those ready to step into parallel timelines and shape reality from the inside out. And in the comments, drop one word. Just one. The frequency you're choosing to embody this week. Let that word be your declaration, your quantum signal, your stake in the ground. Because the moment you name it, you start to become it. Thank you for walking this journey with me. Thank you for your openness, your curiosity, your willingness to explore these edges. You are not just consuming content. You are activating possibility. You are raising the collective frequency. You are proving that timeline shifting is not just theory, it's lived experience. Keep practicing, keep tuning, keep rising. The timelines are waiting for you.